At this time, I would like to ask the man from Cork, Alex Garvey, the chaplain of the Holy Cross Hospital, to come up and introduce the Irish Person of the Year. Chaplain.
Good morning once again. It is said no matter where in the world you go, you're going to meet an Irishman. We all know our friend Patrick here, and he was well introduced and his credentials were put forward to you. So I'm going to share a little insight to my friend Patrick. But before I do, Patrick and his family originate from Tarboro in County Kerry. And behind his back, and unknown to Patrick, we were able to contact Kerry and the City Hall, and I received a letter which I'm going to read to you. Dear Patrick, congratulations on your appointment from the Emerald Society of Fort Lauderdale on Irishman of the Year. Long before the flight of Earls in 1607, brave Irishmen have left our shores for reasons only known to them and to God alone. But gladly the world has been a better place from Ireland's great loss. We are very proud of you back here in your homeland, and he put in brackets, the Kingdom of Kerry. And we will always have a place at the fireside for you. Congratulations, Councillor Terry O'Brien, Lord Mayor of Kerry. And so it was for me in September of 1984, when I was working for the Housing Authority in Pompano Beach, when I came across, on the west side of Pompano, another Irish man. I met Patrick and we shared a love of Irish culture. We shared a love of Irish humour, affectionately known as the crack. And we shared a love of what my grandmother would call the demon drink. Patrick's wit was always sharp and catchy. One of the first things we noticed that one day when I went for a drink in the FOP hall in Pompano with Patrick, I was sitting Patrick, his good friend Danny Stefanko and myself, just the three of us, just around this big open bar. So the barmaid came up and said, Patrick, what are you doing here today? And he said, well, I'm waiting for Monday Night Football. But she said, it's only April. To which Patrick responded, yeah, but I don't want anybody to give away our seats. It was during one of these visits that we decided we'd plan a trip to Ireland. If you think Patrick's got a good sense of humour right here in Florida, you've got to see how his spirit was sharpened in Ireland. Patrick picked up the Irish customs really quickly and very fastly. And one of his favourite Irish customs is a thing called knocking. For those of you who have been to Ireland, you know that the licensing laws are really strict and drink is only served at certain hours. But Patrick mastered a program. This goes something like this. Firstly, you walk up to a pub door after hours and put your back to the door. You look up the street, you look down the street, and you knock. There's silence. Suddenly the door will open and somebody says, good evening. The response is, good evening. He looks at you and you say, we're here to see a man about a dog. To which he responds, there's no dogs here tonight. To which we respond, but we have a good Irishman home with us from America. At which point, Pat would turn around the corner and go, hi, how's everybody doing? I'll go, oh great, there's an American, come on in. And the doors would open. We were entered into a world which the average tourist doesn't see because the doors were locked, private, the shades were down, and we would continue into the wee hours of the morning. Over the several days, people would come up to us in the morning and they would ask a real Irish question, which is called, how is the head? Which is pronounced, how's the head? How's the head is a mixture of good morning and how are you doing after the night before? To which Patrick would respond, grand. Now, I live on a lake area, and as we walk around the lake, these people will come up and go, how's the head? Grand. We'd walk along a little bit, how's the head? Grand. And I was thinking to myself, I'm out of here 25 years. I don't know all these people. And it wasn't until the fourth man that decided to stop and talk to us I realised they weren't talking to me, they were talking to Patrick. Irish people don't really have a concept of the vastness of America. They don't understand how big this country is. And one day Patrick and myself and Donnie were in a taxi. The taxi driver turned around to him and said, "Oh, you're from America?" "Yeah." Goes, "What part?" To make things easy, Patrick said, "Oh, Fort Lauderdale, just outside Miami." To which the taxi driver said, "I've got the wife's brother who's a bartender in Murphy's Pub in Boston. Do you know him by any chance?" To which Patrick just looked at him and in his great fashion said, "You know what? I think I do." One thing about my friend Patrick is no matter where he goes, in Ireland, America, no matter where he walks, he understands one thing, that relationships are what it's all about. It's one-on-one with Patrick, and when he gets to know you, you know you've got a friend. He's loved, he's well loved by the Irish community, he's well loved by the Emerald Society. So without ado, and by means of introduction, I'm going to give you a man who's comfortable walking in the backfields of Kerry as he is walking on the corridors of our state capital. A man whose book of contacts any Broward politician would love to have. A man whose loyalty and whose friendship is beyond reproach. Most of all, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Patrick Handrahan, a proud Irish man.
Patrick would grace us with a few words.
I'll be short and sweet. Well, short anyway. First of all, I'd like to thank the Emerald Society for this award. I don't think anybody appreciates it more than I do to get this special award. So I really thank you for it. My only concern was I didn't understand why I was getting it. I mean, it's a great honor, but I couldn't figure out why. And as I go through as the PBA president and we're negotiating contracts throughout the cities and county, I realize now I know why. The Emerald Society is on a budget cut too. The standards were lowered, and my name came up, probably at McGuire's. So I do thank you for that. Because I haven't really accomplished all that. Those are great speeches, but about the only thing I've really accomplished, I have 2 great sons, and I think my wife had more to do that than I did. But anyway, I would like to thank everybody for that. I have been over 30 years in law enforcement, so I've got to work with some of the finest men and women in Broward County in the state of Florida. It's an honor to do that. It's an honor to serve the citizens. And I thank you for that. And as was mentioned early on in the speech, I was born in Charleston Naval Base. My father was a lifer in the Navy. So as I go to conclude this in a minute, I'll have a special thing. But as I'm looking out now, I remember I have my PBA family there at that table. And of course the Panza family here that I've known for years. Behind that table is basically an Irish family that I have, and I was always afraid that when they came, somebody might go over and ask them questions about me. Then I realized behind that is another table that I didn't know was going to be here, and those are people that went to college with me, and please stay away from that table. But anyway, before I leave and I conclude, and again, thank you for this, there's another group of people I'd like to recognize, and I'd like to have you recognize them too. Is there anybody that served in the United States military? Would you please stand up?
Now we're talking about real heroes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.